Have you ever wondered about the history of Harley-Davidson? Well, ladies and gentlemen, rev up your engines and get ready for a wild ride through the roaring history of Harley-Davidson, a brand so iconic it's practically a national treasure on wheels. Strap on your helmets because we're about to dive into the high-octane saga of a company that's been burning rubber and breaking barriers for over a century. Our story begins in the early 1900s. Picture a time when flapper dresses were all the rage and the Model T was the car to have. Two friends in Milwaukee, Wisconsin decided that what the world needed was a motorcycle that could make you look cool and feel the wind in your hair. Enter William S. Harley and Arthur Davidson. Attending a vaudeville performance featuring the famed actress Anna Held, they witnessed her typically risque show. Amid the spectacle, one particular prop captured their imagination. Held had used a three-wheeled vehicle powered by a single-cylinder engine as part of her act. Unbeknownst to her, this brief moment on stage would spark a revolution in both the automotive industry and manufacturing history. However, these two buckaroos weren't exactly riding high on financial success, but they had a dream and a garage. And if you've ever seen a 1903 Harley-Davidson, you know that dream was big, because it looked like a bicycle had a baby with a lawnmower. The first Harley was a 3.5 horsepower marvel of engineering with more charm than speed. It had the look of a bike that might need a little encouragement to start, but had a heart full of ambition. As they encountered challenges, they realized they needed additional support. Davidson reached out to his brother Walter, who was working as a machinist for a railroad in Kansas. Arthur emphasized how valuable Walter's skills would be to the project. In response, Walter resigned from his job and returned to Milwaukee to assist. Once there, he critically assessed the new machine and began working on improvements. Harley-Davidson was founded in 1903 and steadily grew from its modest beginnings. However, not everyone welcomed this growth. William C. Davidson, the father of the founders, seemed slightly annoyed by his son's project and requested they relocate it from the basement to the backyard. There they constructed a small 10 by 15 foot wooden shed, which became the first Harley-Davidson factory. It was in this humble space that they sold their first motorcycle to a local friend, Henry Meyer. By 1904, the factory had doubled in size, and Harley pursued an engineering degree at the University of Wisconsin. The business continued to expand, and in 1906, the factory grew again. On September 17, 1907, the Harley-Davidson Motor Company was officially incorporated. The first shares were distributed, with William Harley choosing less stock in exchange for cash to help finance his education. That same day, William A. Davidson formally joined the company as works manager, taking charge of the company's expanding manufacturing operations. Fast forward to the 1920s, and Harley-Davidson was hitting its stride. The Roaring Twenties were a time of jazz and apparently really cool motorcycles. Harley-Davidson was in the thick of it, becoming the go-to bike for everyone from police officers to movie stars. In fact, their bikes were so popular that they started showing up in Hollywood films. The only thing missing was a sidecar for Charlie Chaplin. This was also the decade when Harley decided that small and subtle were overrated. They went big, introducing the famous Knucklehead engine in 1936. The Knucklehead was named not because it made you look like a knucklehead for buying it, but because the engine's distinctive rocker boxes looked like knuckles. It was like Harley-Davidson was giving the motorcycle world the finger. Well, sort of. Then came the Great Depression, which wasn't exactly a joyride for anyone, but Harley-Davidson was determined to stay on top. Picture this, a motorcycle company trying to stay afloat in a world where people were more concerned about where their next meal was coming from rather than where their next ride was going. It was tough, but Harley managed to keep going, partly thanks to a little thing called government contracts. When World War II rolled around, Harley-Davidson found itself in the business of building military bikes. Yes, the company that once made bikes for joyrides was now making bikes for serious business. The WLA model, affectionately known as the Liberator, was designed to be a workhorse for the U.S. military. It was sturdy, reliable, and able to handle a battlefield better than a tank full of cranky squirrels. You've seen it, it's the bike Steve Rogers rides in, Captain America: The First Avenger. Harley-Davidson's wartime production was so successful that after the war, they had to pivot back to civilian bikes and remind people that they could still make bikes for fun. The post-war era saw Harley-Davidson embrace a new culture of rebellion and freedom. Enter the 1950s and 1960s, when motorcycles became symbols of freedom and rebellion. Hollywood was all too happy to jump on this bandwagon. Remember the iconic movie Easy Rider? It featured Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper cruising on a Harley-Davidson, and suddenly everyone wanted to be a rebel without a cause, or at least look like one. The panhead and shovelhead engines were the stars of this era, named after the pan-shaped rocker boxes and shovel-shaped covers. These engines made the Harley-Davidson brand synonymous with cool, and the bikes themselves became cultural icons. The Harley-Davidson logo was not just a brand, it was a badge of honor, a statement that you were too cool for ordinary transportation. Then came the 1970s, a decade marked by flared pants, disco balls, and a whole lot of turbulence for Harley-Davidson. Competition from Japanese motorcycle manufacturers like Honda and Yamaha was fierce. Harley's once dominant position was being challenged by bikes that were not only more reliable but also had more advanced technology. Imagine trying to compete with a futuristic spaceship while you're still using a typewriter. Harley-Davidson needed to adapt, and they did so by introducing the shovel-head engine, which was, predictably, named for its shovel-like rocker box covers. They also focused on improving quality and reliability. The company even sought help from the U.S. government, securing a loan to stay afloat. It was like the motorcycle equivalent of getting a bailout for a struggling rock band. The 1980s were a time of reinvention and rebirth for Harley-Davidson. The company revamped its image, focusing on quality and expanding its product line. Enter the Evolution engine, or Evo as it's affectionately known. This engine was a game changer, reliable, powerful, and designed to make Harley-Davidson cool again. Harley-Davidson also began to embrace the notion of customization, offering a range of options for bikers to personalize their rides. This move was a hit, turning Harley-Davidson bikes into not just transportation but personal statements. It was like giving each bike its own personality, making it as unique as its rider. By the turn of the millennium, Harley-Davidson was firmly back on the map. The 2000s saw the company embracing a new era of technology and design while staying true to its classic roots. The introduction of the V-Rod, with its modern design and high-performance engine, showed that Harley-Davidson was ready to compete in the 21st century. The V-Rod was like the cool new kid on the block who had a high-tech gadget for every occasion. Harley-Davidson also expanded its reach globally, with a growing fan base in places you might not expect, like China and Brazil. It was as if the Harley-Davidson brand had become a global sensation, with people from all corners of the world embracing the American dream of freedom and rebellion on two wheels. Today, Harley-Davidson is a brand that stands as a testament to endurance, innovation, and a rebellious spirit that refuses to fade. The company continues to produce bikes that combine classic style with modern performance. Recent models like the Livewire, an electric motorcycle, show that Harley-Davidson is not afraid to embrace the future while keeping its legendary heritage alive. It's like the brand's way of saying, we're still the coolest kids on the block, even if the block is powered by electricity. Harley-Davidson's story is one of highs and lows, of triumphs and challenges, and of a company that has always managed to find its way back to the open road. It's a tale of a brand that has become more than just a motorcycle manufacturer. It's a cultural icon that embodies the spirit of freedom and adventure. Harley-Davidson's history is a tale of perseverance, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. From its humble beginnings in a Milwaukee garage to its status as an iconic global brand, Harley-Davidson has always been about more than just motorcycles. It's about the open road, the thrill of the ride, and the freedom to live life on your own terms, or, as I like to call it, a little bit of wind therapy. Thanks for watching.